I was like, it's really quiet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
11, 12, 13. Yes. Yes.
I'm so excited to be on the couch for this episode.
Yes, who's on the couch with us? It's Steve, also known as Mr. Snuffleupagus. I didn't believe it was true.
He is choosing the really great episode to join us on the couch. This episode's so good.
Oh, good. Stoked. And one more, Nikki.
And Carl.
Also, it is really an amazing episode. I'm so glad to join.
Okay.
You did it.
And we're closing off the couch. All right. And we are closed. This is fun. Yeah, no, I was gonna make that joke that Sheev is basically our Mr. Snuffleupagus, because you kept telling me like, hey, like he really did. He joined us after you left and you were speaking, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
He has some good insight.
Awesome.
I was like, if I don't do this, John's gonna start getting mad.
We tried to convince him, John, to only get up from now on after you leave to make you upset, but he's too nice a guy.
I love it. All right, I'm getting my episode ready. Do we know if this is an episode with?
No previous.
It is not. There's no previous.
There, on mine, I see that it's at 41 seconds.
Oh, then there may be a previously on the DVDs.
I'm on Netflix.
There isn't one on Netflix. You must have watched it. You'll need to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, you'll need to go back to the beginning. What I'm seeing is a maid with two plates in her hands, and that's at like the 1 second mark or 0 second mark.
Got it.
All right. Welcome everybody. This is Remarcus. We're a community of fans who like to watch our favorite television shows together, virtually, but as if we are in the same room, gathered around the same television. The first show that we are watching together is Gilmore Girls, a show that I was an actor on, but I never actually watched, and so that's what I'm doing now. We are well past the midway point of our entire series watch, and it has been really great. This season in particular has just been fire. Those who arrive earlier can grab a seat on what we call the couch. This is the area up top here with 15 of us that have little microphones next to our avatars. That means that we can chat during the episode as if we were creating a sort of social DVD style commentary track, except rather than the typical writers and directors and actors who speak on that track, we have fans, folks who know these shows as well, sometimes better than those who created them. There are no real rules to how much or how little we chat. We can chat whenever we feel the urge, same as if we were casually watching together in person. However, we do hit our sweet spot when we keep our remarks to what's happening in the episode. We try our best to squeeze those remarks into the air between dialogues so that we can still follow what's going on in the show. And when we do have longer thoughts or we want to have a conversation, we save those for after the episode, because we're going to stick around for about 45 minutes afterwards to chat about what we just saw. We always avoid talking about future episodes so that we don't spoil anyone who hasn't seen it, like myself and Sheev, who is joining us up here on the couch. We keep the volume on our TVs low so that when we do speak, others can't hear our episode in the background. I like to use headphones on my television so that you can't hear my episode at all. And when we aren't speaking, we keep our mics muted to reduce background noise. All of these sessions are being recorded and archived. We have them currently on a YouTube channel. You can get that link from pretty much any community member by just asking. Soon they will be on our Remarcus app. If you don't feel comfortable being recorded or having your recorded remarks available to the public, then just don't come up onto the couch or don't speak. We sometimes have snags. So if you lose your internet or you get knocked out of the room, just come back in. You will still be on the couch as you were before, or in some rare cases, you might need to get your child's or spouse's phone and set up a new account so that you can get back in, because the Clubhouse has been very buggy lately. If your episode cuts off and you need to figure out where we are in the episode, there's an easy way to do that. You can get our Remarcus app at remarcus.com. Go there on mobile Safari, and all of the instructions on how you get that app on your phone, like any other app. Then you need to sign up for an account. You'll need an account for this next part. Go into the event calendar, then into the page for this particular event, where you will see a time code, and that is where we are in the episode. The Remarcus app is also got a lot of other really great features. If you are a signed up member, we have a whole in-game economy that we're building. We have a collectibles game. I'm dropping digital collectibles every once in a while during events. We are tipping one another for our really great insights into the fandoms that we love. And we have lots of really exciting, events and features of that game coming later, including special events that are locked to these digital collectibles, prizes that you can win. So I encourage you, if you like that kind of thing, I encourage you to sign up for an account on the Remarcus app. However, if that's not your jam, that's okay too. You may still need that time code. You can get it another way. You can get it through my Instagram account, where I have an Instagram live feed playing with the time code. Just tap on my avatar here in Clubhouse, open up my full profile. You'll see my Instagram account, the little link to my Instagram account. It'll take you there without actually having you leave the room. You'll still be able to hear everything fine. You can quickly check up on that time code. It is 10 seconds off, so it's not as good as the previous method that I mentioned, but it'll get you close enough. We always start past the previously on any episode. We always start at the beginning of the actual episode. This particular episode doesn't have one, so it's not a big deal. But just, for future references, that will be something that I bring up. We are still recording. Well, that we've been recording since the very beginning. So we're going to just launch into it. I'm going to start that time code. We are in an episode that is called The Reigning Lorelais. Raining, not like it's raining Lorelais from the sky, but like queens reigning over a kingdom. Are we ready?
Ready.
Okay, great. So those of you who have been here before know what we're doing next. If you are new, grab your remote, have your finger ready to press that play button, but don't do it yet. We're going to do it on the count of 3. 1. Sorry, 1, 2, 3.
German episodes often have completely different titles, and I don't say the title because it would be the biggest spoiler at all. So crazy.
Oh, interesting. Spoiler for this particular episode or spoiler for the series?
It would be for this episode, you would know what happened. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, I would love to know what that title is at the end in the post-show discussion, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Whoa, that hair. Wow, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Just wait.
I mean, this one is almost comical.
There's more.
This is a really bad Richard moment. Really bad.
I love how quickly Emily was able to come up with that story.
I was just wondering, like, is that, do you think that, I never can tell whether she's really making it up on the spot or whether that truly is the backstory of Sweetie.
I think it's fake.
I think she's making it up. Yeah, she was making it up.
Maybe she saw it on the TV or
Somebody, actually, Jess on Instagram Live just said that she loves how the in-game economy has gone straight to gambling, with everybody making wagers on the future plot.
what else would you have us do? We can't confirm or deny, so you can just pay us if you're wrong.
Oh, I like that. That Sweetie story was fake, right?
Yeah,
That's the going theory.
I love Doyle.
that's like what is bad lip reading?
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things on YouTube.
Yeah, let's stick.
Yeah.
Here are your taters.
I think it's interesting that you always think Rory is so great in school and being a journalist, but she gets a lot of criticism in the episode so far.
Because Doyle's very cute.
He's just too happy that she's getting all that.
I love Glenn so much.
Yeah, Glenn is fun.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's dog dad now.
That is also a very square television.
He's like a proud dad. I love this thread. Michelle being obsessed with the dog. Shows a different side of him.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's why we
That's
so
really good.
The reigning Lorelai.
Oh.
We were talking about her like a couple episodes ago this morning. I was just like, silent.
Turtleneck soup?
It's like Rosebud, I guess.
Yeah. something about it strikes me as like maybe he got the name wrong because as a little boy he heard it wrong.
I love the way Emily is not about to Google anything.
And they just said, do you think it's mock turtle soup?
I don't know. I have a feeling that he didn't hear it right, and he thinks that it's turtleneck soup, but it's something else.
That's what Sherry was confirming. They
mock
confirmed it,
turtle soup.
that he meant mock turtle, not turtleneck.
Got it.
I think back in the
Because
day,
right, because you sometimes call a mock turtleneck, right? Like, is that like mock the non-turtleneck thing that looks kind of like a turtleneck? Is that called a mock turtleneck?
Right, it's not as high.
yes,
I
but
always-
I think back in the days, it was not as common to just Google stuff. It was really, you were used to not do it, and that's why you rarely did it at all. Like, very different to now, so I'm sure she wouldn't Google it at all, ever.
Yeah, she's not
And she's-
computer literate at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's famously against that kind of technology.
I love that outfit on her. That blue looks really good.
The freaking hug.
Poor Richard.
Another drunk acting from a master.
Poor Richard.
The last interaction that he had with her was that argument.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Wow.
I tear up every time I see that. He's such a good actor. Just took the whole loaf.
Man, the drunk is just so awesome because it's so subtle.
I love it.
Yeah, it feels very believable.
Yeah, because that's the drunk of a man who has been drunk enough in his life that he can, you know, sort of somewhat hold himself in a way that doesn't look like he's drunk, but clearly he's drunk.
But he also is playing that he's really completely unhinged in a very effective way, I think. In that way that you can be drunk and still function.
Yeah, functional drunk.
I love that they both asked about Richard immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of them have the closest relationship with Tripp, so it makes sense that they would be more worried about Richard.
The same with Emily. I have to say she's like really just in high gear, focused on him, and she has the worst relationship with Trix.
Yeah, she immediately took back on her role.
Drunk and laid.
Cringy.
Just doesn't feel like that is something Lorelai would have ever said just 1 year prior.
Oh my God, I hate this. My mom does the same thing when she cleans the house.
Jess, your mic is on. Dog stepped on the phone. I talked to my cat the same way. Totally not surprised.
Oh.
I love that. I love that.
All I hear
Oh
in
my
my head is from
goodness.
Rocky Horror. Incest
This
is
is
best.
Game of
This is
Thrones
best.
stuff. Though. I forgot about this part.
It probably happened in all of our like past relative things.
I was going to say in that generation, it was a little more common, less frowned upon, but still a little weird.
That's why a lot of the Ashkenazi Jews
Oh, here comes
have
the
genetic
letter.
issues.
Oh, oh,
Oh, oh.
oh. Oh.
Burn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Bam, Emily.
Oof, I have a feeling this is going to cause some conflict between her and Richard.
I'm on Emily's side on this one. It's really
Oh,
not a
big time.
Oh yeah.
Fully on Emily's side.
Too.
Yeah.
They've been barreling towards conflict for a while now.
Yeah, really. I'm feeling pretty confident that I might be right with this separation theory.
Oh my God, the system. Did y'all see that connection?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she mentioned Pendle a lot by name in the letter too. Yeah. The way Emily said her name.
But it makes sense because she was his former fiancé, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so of course she mentioned her, and yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just thinking from Emily's perspective, that's gotta hurt that much more.
I think rich people probably think so different than we do. Like rich people with money is better than the other, even if they all have a lot of money.
There's also a difference between old money and new money. Like old money looks down on new money people. Absolutely.
But I think the Gilmore were probably the same old monies, and Emily, I just have a feeling. It's probably some really long enemy thing, like living on the wrong side of the city or something like this.
Oh, this is my favorite right here.
Yeah.
Literally.
More drunk actor.
I was just gonna say that. And she's smoking.
She does it so beautifully. That
Yeah, I mean, like I said, every actor is like drunk has its own DNA for every single actor on earth.
I love the fact that her idea of really letting go is to smoke and read.
Yeah, and she's wearing like a robe and just chilling. I mean, it's completely not her.
I think she still looks much better than I do. Really, like closing up and going out. She's so elegant, still sitting on the couch and being drunk. So I
Yes,
think
her hair still looks good.
You're so good. This family is just too much.
She's lighting the smoke off another smoke. I love it.
And she's obviously been doing it a while because that ashtray is full.
She's on a roll.
I think we see how similar Lorelai and Emily are in this scenes, like how she behaves. It's so similar to Lorelai.
Yeah, no, you better go to that funeral. Buddy.
Yeah.
You better go to that funeral, buddy.
He like barely comforts Lorelai. I'm not impressed by Jason in this scene.
I think a lot of men are not comfortable with death and comforting people who are mourning. So I think it's pretty normal.
It'll bat him in the ass later.
I love how she says Emlyn lost her. Very pointedly.
I like that Rory isn't in the middle of it. She's actually just being her age, you know, and not having to deal with all these adult dramas.
Just saying that the acting in this episode is top notch.
It's high end. Luxury.
Poor Doyle.
Glenn's face in the background, great.
I love Doyle in the
Glenn is totally.
And I think it's great that Rory tried to use the Lorelai charm to getting out of a problem. And then in the end, she's honest with him because she cannot lie to him to get what she wants.
His grandmother brought him to prom.
Great ensemble work.
Small town charm.
I really like her.
was she eating the marmalade? What was Miss Patty doing?
I have no idea.
I think she was eating the jelly.
Yeah, it was the jam on the table.
Yeah, it was a charm.
Finally.
Oh, we're going to talk about this for sure. He's gotten a little detail. The actor got a haircut. Ed got a haircut between the last scene and this one, I think.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, it definitely looks neater.
I think it would make sense to go and get a new haircut before you go to such a big, important funeral. I'm used to do stuff like that.
Is this another scene in the mall?
Of course.
I think this is a Victoria's Secret, isn't it? Or a clone of one.
Yeah, it could be in the mall.
It's a TV Victoria's Secret.
Yeah,
The
the coloring, the stripes.
Veronica's closet.
I think it's sad that we these days know nothing about death and funerals before last one dies, and it shows like none of these know what to do at all.
By the way, I just noticed Lorelai's hair is completely straight and flat. No more waves for this funeral, I guess.
Interesting.
That's what I
Grandma
meant.
liked her curly hair.
I think with how often he wears bow ties, he would never forget how to do it, no matter how drunk he was.
Yeah, and this part always bugs me because he was tying his bow tie when she approached him the day of graduation for Yale money.
I think he's just so distraught that nothing's working right for him.
Perhaps Emily is more often doing it for him than he's doing it for himself.
Oh, that could be.
If he's wearing it every day, I'm really not sure.
I do like that she prints instructions off the internet, and that's like the cool, modern, exciting thing. Was that supposed to be in his study?
No idea.
The room just looked different or kind of unfamiliar to me.
Emily is so drunk. His slouched in the chair.
I always thought that was funny. She says, I'm going to get a soda, and there, she's lovely. Wow. That was impressive.
I think it was just doing compliments because it's the thing you do, not because you meant it.
Yeah.
She's not gone.
Yeah, this.
I was waiting for this.
I'm almost expecting them to like reverse on the other actress she's talking to, and it's also Marion Ross.
That's a whole real Victorian Rogers.
Is this Richard's sister?
No,
Cousin.
Cousin Marilyn.
Maryland.
I love how she says horrible circumstances, I suppose.
Yeah.
all the stories doesn't fit to the mean grandmother. Worry, no.
She's back.
Ah, there's the title.
Almost seemed like she had this
Little
big
double
thing.
casting. He was in the golf episode.
Oh, yeah.
And welcome back, Emily.
I think it's similar to the episode yesterday as Mrs. Kim tells Elaine wear socks. It's the caring mother on her way.
Okay, that was wrong.
So how many kernels do we get?
I did not give you kernels on that one. I could tell the enthusiasm. The enthusiasm was a bit high on that one. I avoided a bullet. Oh man, I really hope that this Marianne Ross character stays because she's delightful.
So long
LOL.
ago, and the queen is still there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a reference that's held up really
Great, really great. Yeah, sure. It sure has. It sure has. All right, I'm going to open up the couch. Let some folks join us for a lively post-show discussion for our third and final episode of our marathon morning. Oh shoot!
I just
Sorry.
want to say that I absolutely love you guys.
Oy, oy, oy. Sorry, I accidentally hit Tasha's like sometimes it happens like I end up like trying to bring people up on the couch and then because it's moving and people are moving around, I hit somebody's profile and then their profile comes up and I'm trying to like try and X out their profile, but I've got all these green little notifications coming in blocking the like X signs, then I can't like.
Oh, you're totally fine.
It was it happens all the time.
Do we get to
and
start with Steve today? So happy to see you on the couch, Steve.
I do what I can.
Okay. I snapped
all
a
right.
picture of the couch to commemorate Chi's first time here during the
Awesome.
Well, what are we starting with?
Both Mary and Jess, I'm having a hard time getting you up on the couch unless you are already up. Mary's up, but Jess, I keep trying to get you on, and it's not letting you. So it might be that thing where you have to like leave the room and come back in, and then you're on the couch. Well, I actually have to start by going to the bathroom really quick.
Same here, so.
But
Let's all take a tinkle break.
I think that's a good idea.
Let's just take a little quick tinkler.
If anybody, that's about the same as a wink, wink.
Is that on record? Was that recorded?
Man, everything is recorded all the time.
On the bad boy.
That's it.
I took my little toothbrush if anybody's interested.
I missed that.
John, you may want to mute while you're tinkling.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry. What did you say?
I said.
Did I hear someone say my name?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Amy, they mentioned your queen, and she's still reigning as well.
They did.
I always thought it would be funny if Charles, not that I think it's funny for him to die, but it would be ironic if if she were still in power, and he died.
In the nicest possible way, and I don't mean this as I want him to die, but there's a lot of Brits that want that to happen, so he doesn't become king.
Oh, wow.
We don't want
At
that.
Philip's funeral, I kept imagining if it would happen. You know, like how Kirk falls at the
Yeah.
at the other funeral. I had images of is Charles gonna fall and pull a Kirk.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the whole thing because I could talk about it for hours, but there are many Brits that don't want him as our king, and we want it to go straight to William for many
Well, as a
reasons.
Canadian, we've already started the discussion of, are we really going to put Charles on our money? Because we have the queen on all of them.
Oh, my God.
Are we really gonna have him run the country?
I work for the provincial government in Ontario, and so we actually, when I rent a car with my position, I actually rent it under Her Majesty the Queen. So yeah, it would be very weird to switch over to Charles.
And yet I don't have that problem with
I
William.
mean, this is a conversation I could have for hours, so I won't continue. But if anyone wants to hear the ins and outs of it, feel free to message me.
Wait, ins and outs of what?
Why Charles should not be king.
Oh, that is definitely a topic of conversation I will start if I'm ever in Britain and I am at a bar.
Yeah.
I will.
If anyone wants the list, just hit me up.
I
It's
will.
a long list.
I think if anyone's been paying attention to Charles in the last 40 years, they know why.
I love the monarchy. I may talk with you later. In fact, Princess Di, may she rest in peace, was actually a hot topic of conversation with our EMS crew. Our instructor actually had a huge paper and dissertation that he did on her accident in comparison to EMS care in Europe versus the States. So I'm rambling as a nerd. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I'm back,
Well,
everyone.
Anyway, what?
Are we all tinkled?
Yeah, I'm back.
That's great. My bladder is empty.
Mine's closed.
So,
I can spoil the title now if you want. Which is,
yeah, what's the title?
Yeah, the title in Germany is Bereavement. Did I say it right?
Oh,
Yeah,
bereavement.
Yeah, we have that too.
So it's really okay, you know what's happening. Someone is dying.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Very
I wouldn't have,
strange.
I don't, if you had told me that, I probably would, I don't know if I would have immediately assumed that it was Graham.
Yeah, but in the first minutes probably.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I am relieved at the thought that Marion Ross is still on is still a part of the cast. Whether she's used anymore, I don't know, but that definitely was gave me a sigh of relief because I just love her on the show. Man, where do we start? I mean, it really feels like this whole episode was really, or the majority of it, right, was was really just Emily, wasn't it? I mean, what?
Can we show
Oh,
her getting
her
drunk?
art. I think Richard played a big part too, and his relationship
Yeah.
with his mother. So I think it was Emily and Richard.
Yeah, Emily and Richard.
And also, I think it shows that if someone is dying, the whole family is holding together. It doesn't matter the conflict. So Rory and Lorelai are involved a lot too. So I think it's a Gilmore family episode.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And one of the things that in the letter that Gran detailed about how Emily was not appropriate, not right for the family, she rose above it, and she did fall apart, but she also rose above it in the end and showed all those qualities.
Yeah,
Her strength.
yeah,
And
yeah. She did. I was gonna actually mention that as well. That just like keeping Richard fed there, and it was very that was very sweet.
And conceding the mantle to Emily over Gran was also a very sweet moment to me.
Yep. It also showed what I loved so much about that moment is that it was in stark contrast to the apple scene in the previous episode, because that showed how aware he is. Like we for most of the episode we see him in his own world, and we assume that he's not even remotely like thinking about how Emily must be feeling about any of this, and whether and how she feels about Gran. And then that moment you realize how much he did actually how aware he actually was, which I thought was really very touching, and it really released a lot of the tension that was building between those two characters.
this was one of my favorite Emily episodes. So many great moments. She was so awesome.
Oh yeah, she was on.
She was so awesome.
She was awesome. Yeah.
So awesome. And you can see how she changes, and she was awesome. I love her. I love her. Emily has those moments for me, like good moments and bad moments. They were so good. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was my first ever episode, so this one has a special place in my heart. But yeah.
Wait,
And I have
you
to
did
say-
your introductory episode?
This was your introductory
Yes, it
episode?
is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you
just
jumped
had
in
fun
good.
on the couch.
By the
but
way, I
it is
love
what it
hearing
is.
I
Oh.
love hearing that, by the way. I love hearing, we've had it from a few Remarcus members mentioning when you came into the show. I believe Steph told us, Regina now told us, I can't remember, somebody else just recently told us as well. I love
Yeah.
hearing that, because it does tell you something, I think, about like what was particularly sticky about the show, because that's not that common for you to be watching a show from somewhere in the middle of the show and it be sticky enough that you keep on watching it. And I think it does probably tell you something a little bit about some of the preferences that you may have for particular plots within the series and particular characters, etc.
Oh.
Mine was when I'm sorry. My favorite episode was when Risha was in the hospital, season 1.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one.
And that episode always makes me tear.
Mine's coming up. It's in the next season. But as soon as I tell y'all it's my introductory episode, it'll make a lot of sense on how I feel about the Gilmore Girls. I was having audio issues. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna shut my microphone, but I want to say thank you. This weekend has been awesome.
I'm really glad.
It was so great. So thank you, John.
Of course.
Thank you, and thanks everybody. It has been very awesome. So have a great week, everyone.
Thanks.
See you tonight, Tanya.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
Bye, Tanya.
See you, Tanya.
Bye.
I don't remember what my first episode was. Isn't that, is that strange? I don't remember mine either.
My first episode was the very first episode.
Mine too, Lily, but I started watching it when it first aired, so that's the only reason it was the very first episode.
Actually, let me ask a quick question with a mic flash. How many folks began the series on episode 1? Interesting. How many of you began the series on an off episode? Like, just like somewhere in the middle of the series?
What is flashing?
Wow, that's so cool. That's really, really cool.
And Tasha was flashing a lot. How many actually how many actually watch the revival first before they actually watch the series?
Oh, that's cute. That's it. I'd
That'd be
love to know
backwards.
that. I'd love to know that. Anybody here watch the revival before they ever watched the series?
Someone did, I forget who, but a Marcus person did. They mentioned.
I think it was
Wow.
Kendra mentioned that she watched the revival first before the series.
Oh yeah.
I bet there's loads of people who have watched this because obviously Netflix ended up getting the right. I know there's a lot of people my age and younger who ended up watching it because Netflix bought it, because we weren't born when it initially aired.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. But you would have still had the opportunity to watch it from
Oh, I saw it before
season
it went on Netflix. I saw it before it went on Netflix, and I
Oh,
watched
okay.
the beginning. But there's probably a
Yeah.
lot of people in their early 20s and younger who discovered this show because Netflix ended up putting it on.
Oh,
because
yeah.
We weren't even born when it initially aired, so.
But I would imagine if you found it through Netflix, that there would be more a chance that you would start it from the first episode. Whereas if you saw it on network television, you might just have
especially
the
over
TV
here,
on.
because they
Yeah.
don't play it on TV. So like I know in the States they play it on Up TV all the time, but
Right.
I've never ever seen it on a TV guide or on a channel over here. So I think
Got it.
for us international folks as well, Netflix was like a godsend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I swore I
I
thought
kinda
it was on
agree.
Netflix because I was a big fan of Jared from Supernatural, and then I always like look up like actors that I really like, and I was like, what else is he in? I was like, what's this show? Okay, and then I found out Milo was in it too. I was like, okay, I'm in this. I'm watching this.
Tasha.
Hey, Tasha.
Yeah, I saw
Tasha.
it.
I know that you're flashing, Tasha. But sometimes this happens. Sometimes we just start chatting and we're not there at the episode. To start talking about the episode yet.
No, I was
I just don't want people to feel. I don't want people to feel like they are. That this kind of conversation needs to be curbed because somebody's mic is flashing. We will get to everyone.
Let him finish.
No, that's not what I was. That's not what I was meaning.
Oh, okay.
I was wanting to say where I started.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna make a lot of sense. I started season 2, episode 5. Nick and Nora, Sid and Nancy. We all know who came in on Nick and Nora and Sid and Nancy. So I started season 2, but I was also, well, obviously I was born before the series started. So I started live episodes 2002.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
I was 8 years old. No, 9 years old.
You were not. Oh my God.
Wow.
Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know that episode. So, but I mean, that you came in at 9 years old is like.
Yep. Well, that's Jess's first
Yes,
episode.
first episode.
It's just his first episode.
Oh, okay. That's the name of that first episode.
Mhm.
Got it. And
Yeah.
Tasha, were you as a 9-year-old already? Did you already have a little crush on him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
My God.
He well, the reason why is because like when I was younger, I was like a little daredevil. I was like the sweetest child you would ever meet, and then I hit 7, and then apparently I was spontaneous. So I just liked anything that seemed a little like rebel-esque and things like that. And then obviously as I got older and like had crushes on guys and things like that, and then I grew into like teenage college years, I obviously like grew my crush on Milo. But yeah, I've always had like a soft spot and a tiny crush on Milo.
I was 7 when I started watching the show. I watched it in rerun. I started watching it live, I think in season 3. But yeah, I was 7 when I started, and I'm 26 now. So this show is a huge, huge part of my heart.
Oh yeah. We're not that far apart.
I feel like I got lucky. I started when season 5 was on the air, but I had a best friend who had all of the box seasons already. So she said, no, you have to start from the beginning, and literally lent me all 4 seasons so I could be up with everyone else on season 5.
So lucky. I had to rent those things from Blockbuster, the DVD set. So expensive.
Same here.
Blockbuster.
Rest in peace.
So I started at with episode 1, season 1. I was 45 years old.
Yes. I think you snuck in some episodes beforehand, and
I think on top of also.
And will this be a repeat watch for you, John?
I used to rent the DVDs from my local library for $1.50 per disc. And I did that for about 2 years. And then my friend had an extra copy of season 3. So I just watched season 3 over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until the box sets became affordable, because back when they first came out, the only place you could buy them reliably was Barnes & Noble for $50 per season.
Yep.
Barnes & Noble's always expensive.
Yeah,
Hey,
like
Claudia,
after
jump
you
in.
get to whatever the price of anything is, and you have Barnes & Noble. But yeah,
Hey, Claudia.
I gamed the system because I figured out which libraries rented them by season, not by disc. And then I requested to pick them up at the library that had 2-for-1 Tuesday. So I rented 2 seasons for $1.50.
I can't believe your library charged you.
Oh yeah.
As a former public
everybody.
librarian that actually did the purchasing of the discs for people to borrow. That's actually how I discovered the show. Was one of my library teams said, "You got to buy this show." And I had a teen advisory group that advised me on what to buy. I said, "Okay." I hadn't seen it, and you know, it was immediately so popular that we had a long waiting list, like you say. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of other librarians that you said you were charged for that. But you got the last one.
Claudia's been flashing for a while.
Claudia and then
Yeah.
Kristen. Claudia and then Kristen.
I think it's a lot of Americans don't know how long it takes for a TV show to get to international countries. So
it takes so long.
if
Oh, yeah.
if I watch a show, it often takes a year or even 2 years to get into Germany because they translate it and show it in German. But back in the days when Gilmore started, it took 4 years to get to Germany. So I watched season 1. I don't know which episode. My brother loved it and he suggested to do it, and I tried several episodes till I was into it. But I watched it 4 years after all the others because it just took so long.
Even now, it takes at least a year for shows to get over here. I'm like, what? I just end up getting it and watching
Old
it on
shows, old shows though, not new shows. New shows are like new Netflix shows, like the whole like that whole paradigm of like
Netflix is fine.
Yeah,
Netflix
and
I like
is
911.
different. Yeah, Netflix is
911
different.
is a show on Fox.
Think about what it takes.
yeah.
to
Well, the reason
translate.
why is that the model for financing television and film has changed dramatically since like the 80s and 90s. Now there's a lot more foreign investment into television and film before it's actually made. And so because of that, those distribution deals in Europe for newer things are already there. In fact, like there are a lot of movies that get to Europe before they're actually
born in
released
the
in the US.
wrong country.
Only in Netflix, John. If you see a show on Netflix or if you see a show on Amazon Prime, it's probably, especially Netflix, at the same time.
No, I know.
The revival of Gilmore Girls was at the same moment as in America. But the shows in TV like Fox always takes a year, then
Yeah,
never before.
I know. Let me finish what I was going to say. So for the financing model for film and television has drastically changed, and that's mostly in television. That's mostly exists in streaming. It's still not quite there in like network television because most of those shows are still being primarily financed by the studios that are putting them out. That's not 100% across the board. For film, for actual movies, that is absolutely the new model. Like, you know, foreign financing is a huge part of film now, and because of that, there are many films that get to Europe that are American films that actually premiere in Europe before they premiere in the United States now. That was like totally unheard of back in like the 80s and 90s, and that's because it's all about that distribution deal. Once the movie, if the movie doesn't have a distribution deal, getting that deal always takes a long time because the studios are negotiating the way that they used to do it. They're negotiating or trying to find that perfect distributor that's going to give them the best deal on that distribution. And of course, people in Europe are suffering because they have to wait for that. And to a degree, that still happens in television, but it doesn't happen with streaming networks because those streaming networks are largely now global companies that like are able to put money into it and decide where they want to release those shows. Although there is still, to a degree, there is still some of it going on because there, you know, is money in Europe that that goes specifically into a European show. Like there are plenty of Netflix / Sky productions or Netflix ZDF productions, and in those cases sometimes they do actually take a little bit of time to get to us as well. Like there's some stuff that when I go to Germany, like we find out that, you know, there are shows that we simply cannot watch in the United States because it was a Netflix show that Netflix did probably with some network there, and because of it, the distribution rights haven't been worked out for the United States yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize German Netflix is not the same as American Netflix. I have a lot of moments that people think, oh, did you watch this show on Netflix? And I check it out and I think, no, we don't get it. Or people talk about shows and I said, we never had the chance to see it in Germany. And the problem is the DVDs from America are not working in German. I don't know if it's in the UK, but so I cannot like let someone send me a DVD to watch it. I just have no chance at all. So it's really different. And as you said, you have a lot of German shows or shows from Italy or France or whatever you probably never see.
I mean, I would say like one of the determining factors. I don't want to get. I obviously I want to shift back over to the episode, but I just want to say one last thing. Like a big determining factor about how soon it will get to like, you know, other markets is largely like how big is the production. And the reason why, you know, now film, you know, is pretty like movies, like, you know, going to the movie theater movies they get to other markets quicker, or in some cases are there beforehand, is that those movies are so expensive. They're so expensive to make that they need foreign investment before the movie even goes into production. So those distribution deals are already in place because obviously foreign investment is not going to be there unless to some degree there's some bits of the distribution worked out. And I think that you could probably do the same, make the same case for shows on television. Like the bigger and, you know, like bigger that budget looks like it is, probably the more money was necessary to make that show. And so the faster it'll probably get to other markets because there was probably some foreign money in there.
Well, I have to skedaddle. I just wanted to pop in and say hi. But I also wanted to see, there were a couple of people I was talking to last night. I think, Zach, you were one of them. What was the name that I came up with that you guys were like, who's that character? I don't remember who it was. So there's time my husband.
It was Emily's sister, Hobie.
And then the other one. It was like a guy. I don't remember.
Was it Dwight?
No.
It was
We did talk about the wife, but I don't think that was it.
it was a really obscure.
Now I can't remember, and
Yeah.
maybe you
You
guys
guys-
can talk about that again later. So we can
Yeah,
move on
so
to the
I just
episode.
wanted to put that on somebody's radar, and if somebody thinks of it, let me know.
Sounds good.
Right.
So let's
Valerie.
talk about that scene. That scene where Richard is breaking down with Lorelai in the room with him is, yeah, I think it's easily for me the saddest scene in the whole series so far. It's the one that, like, I know that have been others, and I know, like, the people were talking about a lot of tears during the graduation. Recently, there was that scene between Lorelai and Luke that was really sad, But for me, that scene was the saddest for me.
Kristen was flashing.
Kristen?
Yeah, so this is to go back to when I started to watch the show. I started to watch it before my freshman year in college, where my roommate in my freshman year was from Hartford, and she would have her younger sister record, and then she would have her mail the tape, and we would watch it in our room at college. And she would critique it and tell us, what was different about Hartford there in real life and then in the show.
That's dedication.
Major.
It
John,
was
thanks for your
fun.
insight, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, also, like, I mean, I'm not a professional at it, so I'm just giving you like bits and pieces that I know. There's probably like a considerable more nuanced aspects of it that I don't even know, and others would be able to explain better than I. But that's sort of I'd say, like, a broad gist of it. Anybody want to follow up on this Richard scene?
Oh, I loved it.
I mean, especially just the fact that the last conversation they had, they were yelling at each other.
Yeah, the guilt that he must feel during that scene is extremely real. But something that I love about this episode as a whole is it shows how differently people grieve. Like, even though Rory didn't feel like she was sad, like, she threw herself into how can I help and writing the obituary. And then Lorelai, threw herself into, well, she was kind of thrust into it also, but taking over for Emily. And even though Emily technically wasn't grieving Grand's death, she was still grieving in her own way. And she kind of did that in just the who cares sort of attitude. Like, I thought it was very interesting to show so many different ways that people grieve, and different reasons somebody might grieve a person's death. It was interesting.
Yeah, because Rory understandably doesn't have a real relationship to Trix, so it seems reasonable that she wouldn't be specifically sad about the loss of Trix for herself, but that she would immediately understand how tough that is for her grandfather, and she does have a relationship to him and would feel sad for that reason. So it's, yeah, I mean, just the reasons that people grieve, why they grieve, as well as how they grieve, is such an interesting part of the episode.
Claudia Claudia.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's hard for me. Like, we all applauded Richard for calling his mother off his wife, and then it was the last thing he said to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's the last thing I said." And in the end, all that counts is the relationship in general, and not the last word to say to someone. And still, we always think about the last words, and it doesn't make sense if we think about it more.
Yeah, but I mean, how could you not, though? I mean, because it's true that it's their whole relationship is what he should be focused on, but that, like, the fact that she's gone now, like the button on that relationship will never have the kind of, it won't the button on the relationship will never reflect that. I mean, and that's probably the way it is for most people, because death is very often sudden.
Yes, it is, and that makes me so sad that we always think about the last word. It's always about the last word. Every time you talk to someone, you talk like, what was the last moment, the last thing that happened. And I understand it, and I do it myself, but I think it's sad if you think about it, that we don't think about all the years. We only focus on the last moment.
Yeah, my father and I left things off on a bad note before he passed, and that's the only thing that I ever remember when I think about just how it ended, and not all of the stuff before that. Is that the last thing we ever did was got in a fight.
I hope you can get over it one day and think, wow, we had such a great relationship, hopefully my whole life, and that was just one moment. And yeah, it's just a moment, not more.
No, we also didn't have a great relationship.
Sorry.
What struck me in that scene was the parallel of the advice of what he gave to Lorelai, where he was like, you only have one set of parents, love them, blah, blah. And it's almost like he's aware that what happened with him and his mother could be repeated between Lorelai and her parents, i.e. him and Emily. So I think like he's trying to pass on like or he's trying to prevent his guilt from being passed on to Lorelai.
Yeah. For sure. I did not think about that until you just said it. That is whether that's actually what he was consciously thinking or not, that was definitely what the writers were thinking.
Sandra, flashing down below for when you are.
Sandra and then Zachary.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I think that we also have to remember that he's an only child, and his father passed away when he was quite young, so it was probably just him and Richard and Trix for many years together. So they had a very close bond, and now he's kind of floating by himself a little bit. Even though he has Emily, he's realizing that he's an orphan. He lost his parents, and he lost this really close bond that he had with his mom, because you see that even though Emily doesn't have in prior episodes as great a relationship as Trix is, he still has this, oh, my mom is coming, it's so exciting, even though Emily doesn't really see the same way. They have just a very close relationship, just the two of them, and he's kind of lost a little bit without her.
Yeah, for sure. Zachary, and then we'll go to Shelley.
I know we're talking about Richard. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead, Shelley.
Oh, no, Shauna was before me, just so that.
Oh, my bad. I know we were talking about Richard. Would it be okay if I go back to Emily a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think that they're all kind of wrapped up together in this episode. For me, I agree that this episode is really about a whole family grieving together and how they're dealing with this. So I think that we can jump around to any of the characters.
Fair enough. Someone, I forget who it was, talked about like the different stages of grieving together. This episode and like the past few ones, the way they kind of like chain together. Credit to Kelly Bishop and credit to like the writing, because we see like how multifaceted and kind of like humane like Emily Gilmore is. Like I know she's known as like this matriarch figure, as well as like kind of being like a battle axe, but credit to the actress, credit to the writing. We see different aspects of things that she's struggling with, and she kind of like, at least for now, like comes out on the end. So I just feel that was important to point out. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
We're going to do Shauna and then Shelley.
Actually, I mean, this is actually aimed at Sheeb, because I like hearing what he has to say. So, Sheeb, what do you think?
Just a general Sheeb. Give us your thoughts.
I mean, on which particular part? Like, I don't know. Some of the stuff in the episode. I don't know if this is not everyone's feeling this, but because the show isn't necessarily straight drama. It's more like a dramedy. A lot of it kind of, I don't know, it didn't really have that kind of emotional aspect for me. It didn't seem kind of authentic. I mean, there were moments where like, oh, you're not wearing your shoes, cousin Balky, ha 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 ha. Like, I don't know, some of it just didn't, the grieving just seemed kind of fake. For, I don't know, just like written fake, it's written grieving rather than real grieving. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I mean, it seemed appropriate. Richard's response seemed appropriate.
Would you say that because I would agree with you, like for example, like when Digger comes in and hugs Richard and Richard's crying and just hugging him, that is just clearly that's just a comic moment, you know,
right.
And it was just designed to be comical. But is that how you felt about the scene between Lorelai and? Sorry, hold on. Sorry, guys, come on. We got the Remarcus fam over here.
The dog said I'm here and I have something to say.
Is that how you felt about the scene between Richard and Lorelai when Richard's in his office drunk and you know, talking about that was like his last? Because that felt to me pretty authentic. That didn't feel comedic.
It kind of did, but I mean, even the drunk acting actually seemed a bit kind of comedic as well. It didn't really seem, I don't know, I guess if you spend enough time around drunk, you get a sort of a more authentic view of it. No, I thought that was okay, but I mean, again, some parts of it were like, you know, he had mentioned his rosebud, the soup, you know, that he was longing for, and then, you know, when the soup was brought in, then it was like, oh, I can't, just the thought of the soup is now breaking me. And I don't know, it just it seemed like drama for the sake of drama. Some of it didn't feel authentic, but no, I was kind of there. I was nearly there.
Steve, what were your thoughts on the letter that Emily found from the carbon copy?
Oh man, that was actually the most authentic part, I think, of the entire episode, because it's the stuff that catches you off guard. I mean, like in real life, and then also, you know, portrayed in that particular scene in the episode, the stuff that catches you off guard, and then finding out, you know, the 40-year thing again, right? It's finding out after a huge amount of time that there's this like secret, that there's this thing, and that was particularly tough. I would imagine for anyone to see or read or hear or feel that after so long someone was like not liking you the whole time. And it's also something that Richard has kept from her again, you know what I mean? He's got these things, whether he's, you know, whatever the reasons that he has for keeping those things secret, you know, whether he's trying to protect her, or trying to protect himself, or trying to protect, you know, depending on the different secret, it is in fact a secret that he's kept for, you know, for a long time, 40 years. And so it's just another one of those knocks, you know, where that she wasn't expecting, you know, kind of knocks you for six.
Okay, so now I see. So the scene between Lorelai and Richard doesn't resonate with you as strongly because it's not quite so surprising. It's like, yeah, his mother died, he's going to be sad, and you know, the way that he, you know, him being drunk is, you know, kind of a part of the shtick. But the letter, because it is such a, because both of them are really intense, right? The loss of a parent is a really intense thing. That's right. You know, and then of course finding out something like a 40-year letter that, you know, your spouse's mother never wanted you to marry, right? Both of them are intense in their own way, but it's the fact that the letter is such a surprise. That's the part that makes it really powerful. And that makes sense to me. That makes sense.
I think it makes it that much more powerful because it seems that much more real.
That's what I mean. That like, because it's so surprising, they can play that moment much more. They can play it with less of the comic shtick of
right. Yeah,
of like
exactly.
actor playing drunk, right? Like
Right.
because I actually think that that Ed Herman's drunk is awesome, but it's definitely like it definitely has notes of comedy in it. There's no question about that. Whereas that moment there with the letter, like that there's very little. I mean, there's a bit coming from Lorelai, but not really. That moment stops everyone in their tracks for sure.
It really did, yeah. And just from the first few words, you could tell where that letter was going, and I was like, oh no, yeah.
So,
Excellent thoughts, guys.
Wait, I want to pronounce your name right. Sheev. There's something that you just said that you that
She tried that thing in triplicate apparently.
Sorry.
Yeah, she had that was a carbon copy that she had.
carbon copy. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm exhausted. I was like, because when you said that, I was like, oh, did Richard know that she felt this way? It was a letter. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's cool, but that's what actually makes it more important. And then she's reminded of that at the very end, is that he did receive the letter, and yet he still went through and married Emily. So I mean that was the most important part of that whole story. Like, Emily was focusing on the wrong part of that story. She was focusing on the letter, from his mother saying, don't do it. And rather than focusing on the part where he threw out the letter from his mother and was like, no, I'm going to.
He chose Emily for love, and because he chose Emily for love, and he wasn't going to listen to his mother on that front.
And that's especially important when you see how important she is to him and how much she means to him, and how, so the fact that, in totality, the fact that he chose Emily anyway is a pretty big deal.
So,
but I want to,
can
I say one?
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
I was just gonna. I think you touched upon this, John. I thought the tone in that scene, the letter scene, I thought the tone of the two actresses, or the way that scene was written, Lorelai was so almost flippant about it, and it did not match Emily's alarm and complete dismay. And I don't know if that was designed to, I don't think that there's much comedy to be gained from that scene, but I don't know if that was the writer's attempt to, I don't know,
I interpreted it as Lorelai knew where the letter was going, and she was like trying to put that fire out before it actually happened. So by being as flippant about it as possible, it could potentially downplay it before it actually happened. That was how I interpreted it. I want to say one other thing, because it isn't just that he kept the letter from her for 40 years. It's the fact that for 40 years, he's known just how much she didn't want Emily to be his wife. That's also another part of it. Like, it's not just that he's known for 40 years that she didn't want them to marry each other back 40 years ago. It's that means the entire marriage, whenever she's in the room, he knows my mother does not like my wife and did not want us to get married, and probably does not like that she's in my life. And that is also something pretty big for Emily to have to be sort of thinking about, not just the letter, but that, like, for all these years, she's known that Trix doesn't like her, but has she really, really understood that Richard knows that Trix doesn't like her?
I have a quick question, guys, because after I think the comedy element of the letter was that she memorialized it by having a carbon copy and cared enough to file it away with her important paperwork. So I think that was the comedy aspect of it. But when he got the letter, it was the day before his marriage, Emily. Do you think that influenced with him having these secret lunches unlocked?
Could you repeat the last part, Steve?
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
These things too as a first time viewer, just out of curiosity, because so like the first time perspective, because I had a different feeling before, and every time I watch it, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just it feels like you're dragging a dead carcass around. I mean, you know, that relationship ended. I mean, you know, let's try dating again. I'm like, okay, because it's going to end differently than. Your interplay there between the comedy and the drama.
See, I can cut through all of that comedy and get to the feelers there. I feel. I mean, I don't know. I agree with you. Like that's why they're together again. You know, it's like it's clear that it's not working, but I can't really fault her. I think she really likes him. You know, I think she really wants it to work. You know, I don't think that I think that she was hoping that maybe all it really was that they, you know, that they ended it, that the only reason they really ended it was because they made a mistake by rushing things, you know, on the cruise ship, but that there's another version of their relationship that could have worked. I mean, obviously that's not the case for reasons that she doesn't know, that we, the audience, know, right? Like, I don't think you know, it's that like Hitchcockian suspense thing, right? Like, we, the audience, see something that another character doesn't, and that is what, you know, that's what creates the, like, you know, the tension for us.
Well, yeah, in a way, she sort of pines for the what could be, in the same way that Luke sort of pines for Lorelai in the way that what could be.
Right. Yeah, totally. But so I can't really fault her for her feelings there, because I think that I don't think she quite understands the depth of his love for Lorelai. And if she did, I don't think she would have ever suggested that they get back together. I really think she just doesn't know. She doesn't really understand it. She might, I don't know, maybe she thinks that like maybe there could be something there. She probably thinks that there's definitely something there with Lorelai towards Luke, but I just don't think that she understands that, which is I think is like the unfortunate, like that's the tragic part of the whole relationship.
Well, yeah, when the audience can see the red flags, you know, and then the people in the moment can't. There's a frustration that builds up in yourself, and I think that creates good TV drama, at least.
Yeah, but I'm still not seeing the ick. I mean, the only thing that I can imagine, you know, if like there really truly is something to get like to feel ick about, you know, it would be something that were to come, and it could be something that was really damaging to Luke. But I will say that if this character feels like she was really wronged here, then, you know, she might be angry enough to, you know, to not be, to not be cool in the next breakup, right? Like the last one was like kind of felt like it might have been on the track, it might have been on tracks towards some kind of ugly divorce, but then it wasn't. But, you know, it's potential. It could be that like this, feeling like she's been sort of, you know, led, or, you know, sort of being led around and not really, you know, him not really being straight with her. And I could see her being upset about that. And I guess, I don't know totally how I feel about it, but I'd say I'd probably err on the side of, okay, that's legitimate. If you really feel upset, I might not like what she does, but I don't know if it would be enough yet to. I mean, I'm just imagining things. I have no idea what's to come. But I guess I should just say I can't imagine anything that would make me not like her. You know.
What does everybody like to think about what that argument might have been about? In my head, it's about that $30,000 check.
I thought it was about not living together.
I thought it was about the apartment. I thought it was just a general argument about how their relationship it is not, like, it was just one of these, like, where are we? Like, are we doing this? Like, what's going on? And I would imagine that some of the frustration came from the fact that Luke probably just did not want to talk about it. Like, he was just avoiding it. And the more he avoids it, the more she pushes, the more she pushes, the more he avoids and gets annoyed, the more she pushes, you know, until they're just generally fighting and talking about things that may even not be completely related to the original. I mean, that's the way all arguments are. They start with something and then they just suddenly unravel into all kinds of little things. But I don't think she knows about that 30,000 and who it went.
Definitely.
No,
I agree with
I
John.
don't.
I agree with John. I think they've just gotten to a point in their relationship where all their conversations turn into arguments, and that's why the people in the diner, like when Patty comes in and they're all listening, she goes again. It just seems like every conversation they have is just an argument at this point.
Totally.
And they're having these conversations or these arguments in his bachelor apartment, which is just a reminder, which is all still fully furnished. There's absolutely no change from when they were dating or before they were married, or before they moved in together. And it's just a reminder to her, as it would be to anybody in that situation, that he's really not fully committed to her.
Yeah, that's one of those relationship red flags when someone keeps their other place.
And it's still a single bed.
So, and I think that's.
But it means she'll never come. When he has his deliveries and stuff, she's never going to stay there because it's a single bed.
Yeah, totally. All right, I'm gonna actually head out.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one thing before you go?
Yes.
Penelon Lot.
That is all.
Penelon, Ice Cube number 1, Lot. Ice Cube number 2.
Yes, it's all about the ice cube drop.
Is that the new mic drop?
Yeah.
I'd like to call her something else.
Penelon, Ice Cube drop. All right, we're back tonight at 7 p.m. for girls in bikinis, boys doing the twist. I have to get Shelly on the Clubhouse. I sent her a text message yesterday saying, hey, so do you want me to help you with Clubhouse? And of course, no response. So hopefully I get a response at some point. I mean, some point with enough time for us to get her all set up. I hope it's not going to be a last minute, like, 2 minutes before. She's like, wait, so how do I get onto this? thing. I have this feeling that might be the case. So just like warning everyone. But we'll be back at 7 p.m. tonight for the conclusion of our marathon weekend, which has been a complete and total blast.
Can you believe we're almost done season 4? Like, I feel like just a couple days ago we started season 4, and we are almost done.
Yeah.
Shelly is on Clubhouse. She has already an account.
Shelly's already on Clubhouse?
I'm pretty sure. I just checked like who I'm following, and I think I saw her. I just checked it out, but I'm pretty sure she is on Clubhouse. She has an account.
Okay, let me just do a double check here, because if that's the case, that's great. Then I just add her as a host.
Don, I also like how you trained your dog to start barking the first time she talked while you were actually on. That was clever.
Wow. I let the dog have his word too.
Yeah, she's on, John.
The dog
Oh,
was flashing
she certainly is. She certainly is. Great. I am following her, and I will write her. I will send her a text message saying I just followed you, so follow me back. So maybe that's the reason why she.
I'm sure she gets a lot of more followers now because she don't have a lot so far.
Yeah. Yes. That's very possible. Well, knowing that she's on, that is a relief, because then that makes it very easy, because then I can just be like, hey, just give me a follow, and then I can add you as a host. I can't actually add her as a host until she's following me back. But actually, you know what? Let me see. Is she following Remarkest? Because that might tell me if she. No, she's not. No, but she was nominated by Jenny Whitaker back in March. So she's actually been on Clubhouse for a very long time. Okay, great. 7 p.m. tonight. Hope to see all of you there for what I think is going to be a spring break episode, which what I think means is going to be an episode with the Shins.
It's so great. I try to awake at night because it's a really great episode. Yeah.
I love it. And I think I'm gonna play some Shins right now as just sort of get me in the mood for it. Please feel free to stick around in the room and chit chat and completely spoil She's. All right, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Hi, John.
Bye.
Bye, John.
Hi, John.
Hey, Carl.